Peace, 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 peace. Okay, so and today my socks match. While we're looking at how your movement causes you to leave shared spaces or familiar shared stories, let's talk about why some of your loved ones may be reacting in very odd ways. And this is not to excuse anyone's behavior, um, just to allow some understanding. Because we could be on either side of this. Sometimes, if you're coming to this video today and you're looking at why your loved ones may not understand you or why your expansion could be a threat to them, maybe you're the one expanding. But there are also times in life where someone else is expanding, someone else is growing, and maybe our understanding is not quite where they are yet. Maybe it won't be where they are. And that's okay too. So I'm so excited about this story and stretch at the end of the week. I want to tell you all the whole story right now. But what I'm going to do is talk about a different story. There's a story called Fly, Eagle, Fly. And it's a farmer in, I'm not going to say the correct name of the mountains, but in one of the mountainsides of Kenya, I believe. But he goes out one morning and he has lost a goat, one of his baby goats. And so and it has wandered far away. So he's searching for it. And as he's searching for it, he ends up coming upon a baby eagle, a little fluffy baby eagle that has fallen out of its nest. So eventually he finds his kid, his baby goat, and he takes this little eagle home. And so he takes the eagle home and they take care of the eagle. They feed the eagle and he puts it in with the chickens because that seems to make the most sense. That's where the eagle can eat and the eagle can be with other birds. And eventually the eagle grows and he looks very, very different than the chickens. The chickens cannot fly. The eagle has a huge wingspan. But the eagle is down with the chickens, peck, 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 pecking. And at some point, one of the farmer's friends comes by and is laughing. He's like, "What is going on? Why is this big old bird in here with your chickens? That is an eagle. That is not a chicken." And so, of course, the way friends do, they banter back and forth. And the farmer's like, "Of course it's a chicken," knowing full well that it is not. Of course it's a chicken. Look at it. It's pecking. It's down there with everybody else. It's scurrying around like a chicken. It's a chicken. His friend is like, "It's not a chicken. That is an eagle." And he said, "I'll show you." So the friend says, "I'm going to show you that it's an eagle. This eagle should be flying." So he holds the eagle up in the air and lets him go. And the eagle comes right on down to the ground and goes on pecking with the chickens, completely unfazed. No. So the man comes back, the friend of the farmer comes back another day, and he goes and stands on the roof of the man's house. And he's like, "This is an eagle." And he goes up to the roof of the man's house and he tosses the bird into the air. And the bird opens its wings, glides right down to the ground, and pecks with the chickens. No, I'm not doing that. So the friend says, "Tomorrow morning, we are going to go into the mountains at daybreak. Okay? And we're going to take the bird." And the farmer's like, "Okay." So the farmer gets up early in the morning, careful not to wake up his children, his wife. He takes the eagle. He and his friend walk into the mountains just before daybreak. And as the sun is coming up, the friend and the farmer stand right there on the mountainside, just as the light is coming over the horizon. And they hold the bird up, and the eagle opens its arms. And as the sun is coming up, the eagle opens its arms, lays right into the gust of wind, begins to flap, and begins to fly. It is an eagle. So Fly, eagle, fly is a very easy story to use because there's a very big difference between a chicken and an eagle. It's very easily seen. And it's not a rating of the chicken against the eagle. They are very different. Uh, if you're going to eat some chicken, you do not want an eagle. And if there's the things that an eagle can do, a chicken does not do. But let's assume that the story is being told from the point of view of the chickens and maybe even the eagle, as opposed to the farmer and his friend observing them. Maybe the chickens are like, well, this is our cousin, this is our brother, this is our friend. The farmer put him in here with us. And then the bird grows very large. And maybe the size of the eagle is comforting to the chickens. Maybe the differences in the eagle are really ignored by the chickens because they're like, well, when we need shade, the eagle has a large wingspan, and that's cool. And big old talons, something tries to hurt us, they can kill it. That's great. And maybe they were aggravated that the farmer's friend kept coming and saying, this is not a chicken, because to them, this bird has been behaving like a chicken, even though they know full well this bird is a little different. Chickens are very secure in being chickens. They've been in a place where they have been treated like chickens, they have been nurtured as chickens. They are moving forward in their lives as chickens. That's what they are. The eagle has been treated as a chicken. It has been nurtured as a chicken, but it cannot be a chicken. It can't even continue to eat all the things that chickens are eating and thrive the way that it needs to. But if those chickens were not secure in who they were, then the eagle going to do its eagle business would be a threat. Because why? Why does this bird need to do something different? We are chickens. Why do you need to fly? Why do you need to go catch live prey? Like, why do you need to do those things? Everything's provided. It's right here. You're doing too much. That's one instance. Then there are instances where trying to think of oh, this is a good one, because then I don't have to tell you the story yet. Maybe it's a bunch of tadpoles, and one of them is maturing quicker, more quickly than the other ones, and it's starting to grow legs, and its tail is starting to disappear, and its head is starting to get bigger, and the other tadpoles are like, hold up, what are you doing? Why do you look like that? Why are you coming up out of the water? You're jumping, if they even know what jumping is. You look completely different. I don't like it. In that instance, however, that frog was a tadpole and matured into its next space, which is supposed to encourage the tadpoles to say, I can do that. I can mature into the next phase. Congratulations to you, Froggy. We're on your heels right behind you. In both of those instances, there are times where traditionally in families have a similar gift. And that doesn't mean the gift is expressed the same way. I come from a family full of storytellers, whether we're storytellers by music or by writing or by talking or by preaching or by comedy or whatever it is. Family full of storytellers. But maybe one of us is telling stories in a way that no one else is familiar with before. Maybe there's a film one of us makes that everyone's like, what? Why is he or she doing that? Still part of the clan, still expressing that gift, but expressing it in a new way. That would be the tadpoles and the frog. Many times, sometimes what is happening with the people who love you is that even though what you're doing is an extension of them, is based on what they have given you, is inspired by them, the direction in which you've taken it is upsetting to them because they've never seen it. So it's unsettling And as African Americans, we are not often given the space, especially as I think I mentioned Baba Wakesa and Mama Thea Nancy Moyo to you before, especially African American men. Feeling fear is not something that they are allowed to speak, but feeling anger is something they can settle into. So sometimes the people around you may be fearful, but instead of expressing their fear, what they come at you with is anger. Anger because they don't understand, anger because they feel like you flipped the script, anger because the script that they had in their mind for you is not the one that you're following. And then it ends up being a lot of personal reflection, especially if it's family or some close relationship. So you go out and do something different. So it's a slap in the face. They're like, so are you saying what I gave you is not okay? Are you saying that what we do is not okay? When I said I was going to leave the church and move into traditional African practice, I think it hurt my father's feelings because of the things that he said. Um, I remember one time making a comment about uh, the song Amazing Grace and how it wasn't our song because of the roots of the song, because of who actually wrote the song and the reason he wrote the song. And so that song was written as a reflection of a either a slave monster, someone who thought he owned other people, or someone who was okay with that way of life and was inspired listening to Africans saying that, wow, this is not the way. So when you hear a wretch like me, he's singing about his revelation. That is not my song. I remember I said something about it on social media or something, and my father's reaction was very, I said something about that and my walk, my understanding of my spirituality and traditions at that time. And he responded in kind with something like calling into question what he and my mother had given me my whole life. And I said, no, this isn't calling that into question. You gave me the best of what you had. And their encouragement for me to be curious, to keep asking questions, to move forward, to seek for truth is exactly what I was doing. But it's very hard for people who see you move out of what is familiar to not feel like there is an implied devaluing of what they have given, that there's not an implied questioning of your upbringing, of your training, of what they have shared with you. What does it mean about the traditions that we have shared when you do different ones? What does it mean when you now say you're not celebrating Christmas? What does that mean? So that's one side, is that it can feel like a personal affront. Um, for my part, as I said, this possible would be on both sides. There are things that my children do that I'm going, that's what you want to do? This is your aspiration in life? Um, Even though I know those things are it's possible for them to shift because of their age, but there's always going to be a kernel of truth in the middle of it. And as their mother, there are going to be places where I may not see or fully understand where they're headed. So it's possible to be on both sides. And then so that's the that's one side of it. The other side is when you move forward and you do things that are trailblazing or different or require you to be fearless, so you have to push forward to get them done. It is a silent call to action to everyone else around you. And what it ought to do, when you turn your light on, they ought to go, ooh, I got to switch. Click. Mine's on too. Sometimes people go, what you got a light for? We've been okay in the dark. I ain't got to do that. What are you doing that for? You're doing too much. You are doing too much. We have been okay over here with this, and now you want to say you don't do that. So instead of being encouraged to do their own thing, to move forward, sometimes it is a threat because just as you and I have been trained, those who have trained us were also trained. That's how we receive the training we're receiving, is because they were given rules and protocols in their lives by their parents and their parents before them and the parents before them and in communities. Those things are passed down. So when you say, I think we can do this another way, that invites everyone into a space to say, can we do this another way? And so then people get scared. It is a threat. If we've been doing things this way for so long and you change it, then what happens? So here's an example for that. I was baptized as a child. I was raised in church. Beautiful ceremony. I was christened as a baby. White dress. There's some really lovely pictures of a little Afro baby with my face. Not this face, but with my face, with my parents and my godparents. My children were not christened. My children had naming ceremonies. They had identos, or ceremonies where they were presented to the community, outdoorings, very beautiful ceremonies, but it was a change. My children were not baptized. My children had family rites that began when they were 7. And in those rites, I remember there were some there are sacred, secret things, of course. But one of the things that happened for them was a bathing by their family members. So at around the age of 7, both of my girls and my son took a spiritual bath with their elders and older siblings of the same gender. Um, they were surrounded, they were safe, they were dressed in traditional dress afterward. They were presented to the community, and community praised them and pledged themselves to them, told them what they saw in them, admired them, encouraged them, affirmed them, and then said where they would be there for them. Me not doing that for my children was different. It was different. And I know at the first one, my father was off in the corner watching. What is this? What are we going to do? I didn't get married in a white dress. I got married in batik with the dinker symbols in it. It was in a Khan wedding ceremony. It was different. So the question is what you're doing, how does what you are doing or what I did, how does it maintain the continuity of what we have set before you? Is the end goal still our end goal? And I would say so. I would say that for all of those rites and rituals, the goal is to invite community in to celebrate and to support. Um, Me being baptized means I was baptized into a particular church community specific and a larger church community, Christian community, uh, wider, I guess worldwide, or you know, um, and the same for my children when they went through these rites. They were rites for our immediate family. When after my firstborn daughter went through, her second sister, her little sister came through, and she was present for her. So she was welcomed into a community of women in her family. And then larger, she was welcomed into the community of young women in her community. They were all welcomed into community as young African men and women. They were affirmed and they were held accountable to be as bright and beautiful as they are. So, in those ways, that's the same. But there is a comfort in familiarity, and it's easy to assess things with what we can see and what we have experienced. It is, it's not that much harder to sit back and find common ground. It's not that much harder to look for the common thread, but it is a little more challenging. It requires relaxing. It requires not being anxious. It requires love and trust. And it's funny because even though my father's reaction to my firstborn daughter's family rights was kind of offstandish and what are they doing? By the time my youngest born son had his, daddy was in the fray. So completely participating uh, and very supportive. So it's possible, but just to consider that it's not easy for those who are watching to watch you do something different, just as it is not easy for you to move forward and do it. So it doesn't mean you should stop, just to allow you some space to understand where they may be coming from so that you can keep moving. That the things they are doing may feel antagonistic, not supportive, uh, mean, and that it still means you have to keep moving. And that it means that they may be in all those places of questioning. They may be the tadpoles wondering why this frog is doing this. You may also be showing them that they have within them what you have within you to be the frog, that they really might not be chickens and they might all be eagles. And as long as we're on this side, I said that before, as long as we are on this side of the ground, we still have the opportunity to do any of the things that we were called to do. Maybe it won't be exactly as we initially saw it, but there's still a possibility to work out our gifts. So sometimes you working out your gifts reminds others that they didn't. So there's fear, there's the threat of are you doing something new? Will you be separated from me? Sometimes there's shame of, man, I really should have done that. And if she's doing that, what does that mean for what I could have done? What does that mean for a different choice I could make? Does her liberation mean I could be liberated in the same way? And even though it is not your job to answer all of those questions, anyone who really wants the answer to those questions will receive them if they watch you move. So your job again is to just keep moving. You hear door in your head, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. If they want to swim, they'll swim because what is in you is in them. It may not manifest the same way, but we have all been blessed with a spark, with a gift, with a calling. So answer yours, and maybe they'll pick up the phone too. All right, I will see you later. Stick around for that story and stretch. I'm very, very geeked. Like this is, I know there's all the things you say in these videos like, share, subscribe, yada, 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 come back for this. Okay, those things are all true. However, this story and stretch is going to be amazing. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. And it ties to everything we were talking about this week. So I'm looking forward to that. So when we get to Saturday this week, I mean, you may not be watching this in that order, but when we get to the last day in this week in this playlist, come with something comfortable to wear. Try to find a easy space that feels good to your body. Invite your family. Bring your kids. Bring whomever, because everybody can do it. It's a beautiful story. And like I said some time ago, your story is your power. And shared stories, not the one that you have to walk away from, but the ones we share with each other, that we share, even as you walk away, if you have to come back and share your story, the ones that we share are very powerful. And so I'm really looking forward to you all sharing this one. But again, this is Reverend Okomfo Mwalimu Yogi, Sister Mama Adia, saying, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.